past 2 weeks, or 1 week, I guess.
Holy shit, Kevin!
Wow! What?
You got this only nowhere else but you, Kevin and Zachary. Kevin, I'm not gonna lie.
Now we're not gonna a carved penguin. There it is.
Oh no. Are the O's fine? Are the Orioles fine, Kevin?
I'm so embarrassed. I'm so embarrassed.
Okay. The Orioles stole it. That game was stolen. It was stolen from them, then they stole it right back.
What?
Oh my
Wait, what's going on?
What is
happening?
What is going? Was it a diving play? He bobbled the play.
What is happening? Are they challenging it? No. Other wall. No.
Kevin, I don't know what you saw, how much you saw. I've been chugging champagne. Sure, I spilled a lot, but what a game, man.
He will be the legendary
Birdfish!
How about that?
Birdfish fans, stand up. We did it.
What can I say? What can I say?
Stop me if you've heard this before. The Baltimore Orioles come off a brutal beating in a game last night, and in order to get the momentum back, to stop the skid, the Orioles needed Dean Kremer to step up. And stop me if you've heard this before, but he did. He did. Dean Kremer, absolute gem. 7 shutout innings. I mean, it's the team leading 7th win for Dean Kremer. I mean, hey, let's call it what it is. This was a massive win for the Baltimore Orioles because you needed to go get this win against a struggling Taj Bradley with your quote-unquote stopper in Dean Kremer on the mound. This was a game you had to win. It was a game you had to win. You couldn't leave this series heading back into Texas facing another series loss. You couldn't lose back-to-back series. You lost the series versus Texas, flush it. We talked about yesterday. You lose the game yesterday, flush it. Orioles go out there and get a massive series win. I mean, let's look at it. So they're on the year, they are 4-3 versus Tampa. Tampa Bay is one of the best teams in the American League. There is a very good chance they have as good a chance as any to represent the American League in the World Series. And the Orioles just took 2 of 3 of them, a week removed from winning 2 of 4 in Tampa. Today was a big win. Today was a big win for the Orioles, but it can't stop here. They need to continue to stack wins and build off this. I mean, Dean Kremer is not the issue. Dean Kremer, 7 wins, most on the team right now. It feels like Dean Kremer, when they need him the most, he's been there. Offensively, it felt like everyone showed up today. Actually, literally, I think everyone, let me look it up. I think we only had 1 or 2 guys not get hits today. Holiday 0 for 3 with a walk, and then that was it. All right. So everyone got on. Holiday, funny enough, Holiday was the only one to draw a walk. So every player gets a hit except Holiday, who also draws a walk. So everyone gets on. What a beautiful offensive display. And was that a bit of small ball I see? Was that a bit of Cedric Mullins lay the bunt down? Going for, I believe, you can say maybe sacrifice bunt. Say he's got the speed. When he puts it down, he can get safe. Goes out, bunts it. Now you have second and third. Next at bat, you move the runners over. Move them over. Fly ball gets Seti over. Then all of a sudden, fly ball gets him in. Small ball, people. The Orioles were getting it done. The Orioles were getting it done today, and it genuinely was one of those games where, I mean, yes, 5-1. Obviously, Bautista allows that home run in the ninth. But overall, a all-around, maybe one of the best all-around games. I mean, when you talk about Dean Kremer, 7 shutout innings, you talk about everyone on the offense getting involved. Kobe Mayo, I really thought Kobe got his first home run off a position or a non-position player there. Colton Cowser also with an insane catch. And Jason, this is the question, because this is the thing. This is what makes it most frustrating, is this team can be good. This team shows you why they have, why people pick them to go and be in, win the AL East, why people pick them to make the playoffs, why they're over under this year. I think for wins was 84.5, 86.5. They have the talent. It's the frustrating. Why can't they do this consistently? They'll go out. They'll take 2-3 versus the Yankees. They'll take 2-3 versus the Rays. They'll go into Tampa and split the series. It's why can't you do it consistently? It's the most frustrating thing. And real fast, let's get into Walter. Appreciate. And actually, I think he's here. Bring Kevin. You here?
I am here. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. I'll put you behind. But real fast, just going over these super chats really quick. Walter, appreciate you. Kremer has the same story every year. Awful in April, then shoves in May through September. This year, he had a 7.04 ERA his first 6 starts. Then May 1st got here, and he has had a 2.99 ERA in 11 starts since. It is the exact same Dean Kremer, it feels like every year. But once Dean gets settled, if we could just tell Dean that April doesn't exist, I mean,
it does just phantom IL for a month.
Yeah,
and then bring him back.
And the Fados fan, appreciate you. But Kevin Ostreicher behind the man behind the scenes.
I'm in your walls.
In the walls, and Kevin, the Orioles were in the win column. Massive win overall for this team. I mean, Kevin, I started this show off with it. Stop me if I've told you this, if you've heard this before. Orioles need a massive win to stop the bleeding, and Dean Kremer comes through.
It's what we said yesterday, wasn't it? It's who's on the mound? Of course it's Dean Kremer. Of course, every time. And to his credit, man, I mean, look, is he gonna go out there for 25 starts and give you a 2.5 ERA? No, but while he does have his innings of poor play and starts where he can't get the job done, more often than not, he gives you not maybe games this was exceptional, but games along the lines of at least keeping them in it. And when the offense, how many times have we said the Orioles score 5 runs, but the pitching staff, they give up 9 or they give up 7 and they're not in the game. I mean, Dean keeps them in ball games, and he, it's. I mean, what can you say? I mean, at this point, I'm penciling in a win every time the Orioles need one, and Dean is on the mound. It's like clockwork.
Yeah, and I mean, let's talk about not even in the fact of yes, obviously you needed a win, but if Dean throws 5 innings of 2-3 run ball, this game, you still win technically. If we go off the score, obviously things would probably go a little differently. You still do that. But yesterday, Eflin only goes 1 inning. You needed a guy to not only keep you in it, but eat some innings. How about 7 for you? 7 shutout innings.
Yeah.
I mean, that'll do. It's like that. I think you should leave there like, yeah, that'll do it. Yeah, I think that should work. Like, that is, if you would have asked me yesterday, what is the perfect Dean Kremer start tomorrow, would be like probably 7-8 shutout innings. And he delivered. He delivered.
I mean, yeah, I mean, the fact that we've talked about it literally all year, right? Where earlier in the season, the staff as a whole wasn't going long enough into games. They've gotten better at that recently, but I mean, you have a game like Eflin yesterday, and you had, and it's kind of like what we talked about with the Rays yesterday, where 2 days ago Pepio goes 1 2/3, and the Rays bullpen just gets decimated. They needed Zach Littell to go 7 like he did, and that really eased off their bullpen. But now you just flip the coin here if you're the Orioles, and you now go into this series against Texas. Hopefully you can go there and get some revenge for the final 2 games of that series. But I'd love for them again just to capture this momentum, because they haven't been great at that this season. So I mean, they need to start. The time is running out. They have to start doing it eventually, or else it's their time is probably done.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing. Kevin, how many times has this team gotten a massive win and then we look the next game and they come out flat? So it's like, yes, this win is super fun, and I'm so – Kevin, it's like this team is learning it all over again. It's like we've gotten down pretty well the stop the bleeding. We're not going on the big 5, 6, 7 game losing streaks anymore. We have Dean come in, he stops the bleeding, you get the win. It feels like we've gotten to that part. You lost 7-1 to the Rays, you bounce back 5-1 next game. You blow the 8-0 game, you come back, bounce back that game, then you go beat Max Fried. They've had the bounce backs. The next step is keeping that momentum going for multiple games. They've mastered we're not going to go on a 7-game losing streak. I hope we've mastered that.
Yeah.
Right. We've gotten past that part. They've stopped the bleeding in time. Now it's hey, when you get the big wins, go take the next 2. Don't just now be like, all right, that'll do it for the next 2-3 games. Like, go capitalize on that. Take that momentum and go win 3 of 4. Go win 5 of 6. 6 of 8. That's how you really climb back into this. Stopping the bleeding is cool. Winning 2 of 3 is cool. Like, that's awesome. But we can't then take this and be like, let's go. Massive series win against the Rays. Goose egg against Texas. Like, you got to keep it going.
All right. And I mean, if you go and you even lose 2 of 3 to Texas, and hopefully it doesn't happen, but if you do, then you're right back to where you started 6 games ago, and you've now lost another 6 games to make up any ground whatsoever. So, it's about getting momentum, and, they went on that stretch, White Sox, and, they're able to sweep some teams, but, feels like forever since they've done that. It really wasn't that long ago, but it feels like forever since they've done that. So, I mean, hopefully it's still next man up. Hopefully Westy can get back in a lineup, and hopefully by the time the Texas series starts, I know that, it's not going to be an IL thing for him. But
I was going to say it should be, at least they said it's not going to be IL. So they said that there's and I don't think they would have been, I don't think they would have brought Rivera up, at least if they didn't think. But, I don't think they've already said no IL. It's just, it's not even as bad as last time. So I would think he's back in probably, if not tomorrow, Tuesday.
Probably at some point during that series, yeah.
I would be very shocked if he was not, like, to be honest with you, in the next day or two.
Yeah, the only thing that gives me a little pause is them bringing up Rivera. But, I mean, they need another infielder, so I get it. I mean, it's procedural at that point, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see on that. Kevin, let's move off of we've talked about Dean. We know that he's been incredible, and actually, real fast, I did want to bring this up. Cassetto's fans. I did finally fix the pennant.
Good
We're
for you.
2-0.
Look at that.
2-0 in shows done here with the pennant like this.
So it was your fault, is what you're saying.
Kevin, I don't think you understand. Like, I saved the season. Like, what do you mean it was?
I know, but the season was savable because of you.
Can't have an incredible comeback unless you have an incredible deficit. Eric, what's up? Real fast. When's Adley? Adley said he doesn't think he's going to be activated right out of the All-Star break, but hopes to be ASAP. So, in other words, I'm terrified that I have no clue, and this could be a while. But Sam Basayo, 444-foot homer today. He's got to make it interesting, Kevin. He's got to make it interesting.
I'm not sure we see him for a while. But
No, they won't. Especially, Kevin, we have Gary Sanchez going 2 for 3 again, or 2 for 4 with another RBI and a run. I mean, Gary can't stop hitting.
Prince that was promised. I mean, this is prime New York back in the day, Gary Sanchez.
This is exactly what prime New York Gary Sanchez was like. Remember, he was supposed to be better than Judge. I think he was a higher-ranked prospect.
Yeah, him, Judge, Torres.
Gosh,
all those
they were
guys.
going to bring the Yankees back to relevancy. I say that like
Right.
But Kevin, this offense, I talked about right before you hopped on. 10 hits today. Everyone gets a hit except for Holiday, but he gets the only walk of the game. And this is what I like: 5 runs, 5 different guys with an RBI. Like I said, everyone got on, and it wasn't like the majority of them are getting. Sometimes you'll get 10 hits, and it's like, okay, 3 or 4 guys went 3 for 5, 2 for 5, and you're like, okay, it was really 3 guys that carried it. Everyone, I mean, going down the hit column, you go Holiday with the walk, no hits. Ramon Arias, 1 hit. Gunnar, 1 hit. O'Hearn, 1 hit. Laureano, 2 hits. Kowser, 1 hit. Gary, 2 hits. Seti, 1 hit. Kobe, 1 hit. It's like the entire lineup, top to bottom, just passed the torch. They played small ball. We had bunts, Kevin. We had sack flies. They were advancing. They were running, aggressive sends from Buck Britton. I don't think Buck Britton has ever seen a runner he didn't want to send home. And I'm okay with that right now. Like, it works, and I love it.
Yeah, I mean, look, you look at what this Orioles team needs to start doing, and we've talked about this forever, right? It's the aggressiveness on the base paths. It's being aggressive when a guy's rounding third. And I think, I don't know if we'll ever see a guy held up at third again by Buck Britton the way that things are going. But, I mean, I love that. And those are the types of risks that you need to take if you're a ball club that is trying to fight back into positioning. Like, you can't afford to be a team that, gets skittish in those moments, because that could be the difference between a win or a loss. And a loss at this stage is almost detrimental. Every loss feels like the weight of the world is on their shoulders whenever that happens. So, I'm glad that they're taking that approach.
Yeah, I was going to say, Kevin, I kind of joked yesterday. I was like, this season's so fun because we're playing playoff baseball in June. Like, every loss.
Literally, yeah. It's a good way to put it.
Is devastating.
Yeah, it's a really good way to put it, actually.
Like, we are literally playing playoff baseball in June. Every loss, the season's over. Every win, it's like, we're back. We're back, baby. And it's frustrating because we talked about it earlier. Jason brought up about why can't they just be more consistent. Kevin, they played the hottest team in baseball, arguably, in the Rays, 7 times in the past, 10 days? And they took 4 of them, and you could argue they should be 5-2 if they don't blow. I'll pump the brakes on they should be 5-2 because they then blew a 6-0 lead. So we'll let bygones be bygones, But
it is what it is.
Like, they just keep scrapping together these wins against these good teams, and you're like, there's the potential we saw. There's the offense we saw. There's Kobe Mayo, sitting there looking comfortable again. I really thought he got a home run there, dude. There's Gunnar doing Gunnar things. Colton Cowser's getting hits. Ramon Laureano continues to just hit. If you throw the ball over the plate, Ramon Laureano's going to hit it. I mean, there's never been. I would extend him now. He's got to be your right-handed hitting outfielder, bench bat for the next year, at least next year.
It's just it's the O'Hearn thing all over again, where the option is a no-brainer, and you probably should extend him. And now they're in a situation with O'Hearn where they didn't extend him, and it got a little difficult in terms of what his future with the team looks like. But I would hate for them to make the wrong, and there's no way they don't pick up the option, right? Like it would be absolute malpractice if they didn't pick up that option. Although I guess we saw Danny Coulomb have.
I was just gonna say, I was like, did we not say that about Danny Coulomb?
Yeah.
I was like, it's literally the exact same thing as Danny Coulomb.
Yeah. We were all saying, oh man, like.
Because I just real quick, I wanted to look up just to make sure that it is. Yeah, he does have the club option for. Okay, come on, show me how much it's worth. $6.5 million. So
that's so easy, such an easy decision.
You better they're just some no-brainers, and that is one of them.
Yeah. Although they've had some no-brainers in the past, and
you're right, Kevin. You really are right. But Kevin, as we go into this series, they go into a series I believe against Texas. And then it is against Atlanta. Let me make sure I got this.
And their missed Sale is still on the IL, so they're missing him.
Yeah.
So
and Atlanta's been they've been good sometimes and then awful next. So it goes Texas, and then you go to Atlanta, then you're back home against the Mets. So it's the road games. Road series is against.
Can they not be the team that gets the Mets back on track? Can we just not do that, please?
I have some bad news for you. I have some bad news of what it's looking like is going to happen. But Kevin, so let's look at it, and everyone in the chat, let's talk about this. Kevin, we're going to play the same game we played before last road trip. 6-game series, or 6 games on the road trip. 3 in Texas, 3 in Atlanta. What are you saying is you have to go? Is there a number that you're like, are you a 5-1, 4-2? Is 3-3 okay?
I think it has to be 4-2 at the minimum. I mean, I don't think you can go. If you go 500, you make up no ground, and again, you lose 6 games. Like I think it has to be 4-2 at this point. You're almost in July. You will be in July, and time is running out. Like if you want to really put a push for this thing, the final, we said like 8 times the final push, but the final push. I think 4-2 has to be your minimum there. I just think 500, it's on 2 series, wasting 6 games and not making up any ground does nothing for you, and it wastes a lot of time. So you have to at least come out with a winning record.
Yeah, I think everyone is pretty much everyone's on the same level or same thought process in the chat. 4-2 is the way to go. I think if I couldn't agree more. Kevin, we're at the point where, hey, if you were hovering at 500, like, hey, if they were 2 games below 500, you go on a road series against Texas that's starting to put things together. Atlanta's look good. You then suddenly you're sitting there and going, hey, you get out of here 500, no loss, no hurt on the, loss column or losing ground in the under 500 column. Then you're sitting probably feeling a little better, but you're right, Kevin. You can't lose 6 games and not make up ground at this point, because if you go, if you stay that pace and you go 500 the rest of the way, that's not helpful. Like you can't go 500 the rest. Like you're not 10 games above 500. Like last year, they set themselves up so well, Kevin, where towards the end we were begging them. We were like, just split. Just please go 3-3 over this road trip. Like just anything but going 1-5, 2-4. Like now you have to. You have to make up ground. You have to go 4-2. You have to go 5-1.
Yeah. Like I said, time's running out. Like it's now or never. And again, we've said that like 10 times during the season, but You're now past game 81. You're more than halfway through the season. There are a lot of teams in front of you have to jump, with Texas being one of them, by the way. And, there's a big decision point coming up in a couple weeks about, hey, who's going to be on this team? So, yeah, I mean, I think at this point, we will be like halfway through the, no, not halfway. We'll be like a fourth of the way through July-ish once that series begins. Actually, less than that, but even still, it'll give you a good barometer of kind of where you need to be at the deadline. And even still, I think we both agree, Zach, that even if they rack off a lot of wins here in some way, shape, or form, they probably will have to move off of some guys. It's just a matter of how many they move off of.
Yeah, I agree there. And I saw people talking about in the chat earlier about, who even has, with Eflin going on the IL, what are you even going to get at the deadline? Who do you even sell off? All that. I still think it's going to shock people. If you want to, at the end of the day, who's going to have the most value? It's Charlie Morton. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Over O'Hearn?
I think, yeah.
I mean, because I know O'Hearn's come back down.
Kevin, I'm kind of in that, I think they're going to – I think at the end of the day they might – I think O'Hearn's the guy they keep and extend. So I'm not including O'Hearn in that. When I say it's more value, I think it's because they're okay with giving him up for the value. Whereas O'Hearn, if you're going to say best offer for best offer, O'Hearn's going to get you. Although even though then, Kevin, I'm going to be honest, pitching gets you prospects. Pitching, if you can – and let's look it up. What is Charlie Morton's last – 6 games? What are his last? Let's just go 8 games. We'll go 8 games. His last 8 appearances, I guess, because he didn't start some of these. In this, he has. All right, so his last 6 games are his last 6 starts when he came back. So in his 6 starts since returning from the bullpen, Kevin, he's 4-0 with a 2.90 ERA, and that is over 31 innings.
Wow, he's good.
I mean, that's a guy that can he can get you something on the open market. He genuinely can. I think he is going to be somebody that weirdly, I think the Orioles are going to go and get somebody good for. And if you can get guys to step up, then you can replace him. But I think that a team that doesn't want to totally go all in, or maybe is looking for more of a 3 or 4, 4 or 5 guy to just kind of help in the rotation down the stretch to compete. Maybe they have a weakness, maybe they have an injury to the 4 or 5 guy. I think you might be able to get a pretty decent prospect or 2 for Charlie Morton.
Yeah, I just think the thing you have to weigh there for other teams is, this is probably his last year. I'd be shocked if he plays another year after this. So.
Yeah, and it's a rental. That's why I think he's got the value, because you don't have
rental with no possibility of re-signing. I think is the big.
Yeah,
thing, right?
But I think some teams that becomes more attractive because they don't think they have to give up as much.
Yeah. I mean, there's still value. I'm not saying there's no value. I'm agreeing with you that if he continues doing what he's doing here, the team would take a flyer. But I think that's a guy that you would probably move for a high A type of guy.
Yeah, he's not going to get you guys. Yeah. And real fast, because we are talking about guys moving, and someone mentioned Luis Castillo. Ken, I don't know if you saw, but we DFA'd Luis F. Castillo today.
No. Making room for the real one. They just chestnut checkers.
For real. It honestly, it feels like that. Also, I'm going to say his name wrong. Remember Roansy Contreras, who everyone in beginning of the year, people were like, what if he does well? He's got electrifying stuff. Shoot, let me I want to say Pigtown Sports put this out over the past few days. So, oh yeah, here it is. So this is just him. This is a few. Oh, so as of June 25th. In June, he has 4 starts. He has allowed 2 runs in 17 and 2/3 innings, which is a 1.09 ERA with 12 strikeouts. This is a guy who started out tough, but he's got some stuff. He's got some, and that's always been the thing. It's whether he can control it. That could be a guy, if you trade Morton, that they give the, hey, let's see what you got. Because, I mean, he is, let's look at his, he's only 25. You would have him, I believe, for, so he's a free agent after this season. No, maybe. No, he's pre-arbitration. So, I don't know. I think there's some. I think the Orioles, if they move on from a guy like Morton, I think they still have some young guys that could take over and produce.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? I mean, if you move off of these guys and your season officially ends, I guess, before the deadline, you move off of these guys. It's a matter of getting guys up to see what you have. Like, I'd bring Heston back. I'd bring all these guys back to make sure that you can say, okay, well, does this guy have it or does he not? You can get a decent 2-month sample size for a lot of those guys. And, maybe Contreras is one. You have a lot of others. So I think that's the thing. It's who do you want to really get? Not just he's up, but he's going to be on the bench all the time. No, who do you want to get a legit look at? Yeah. And, that would be like if they do move off of O'Hearn. And, you would assume that, Kobe's going to get all those reps, like all of those reps, and he'll play every day, literally. If they move off of Seti, do you bring Heston up and throw him back in the outfield and move Kowser to center full time? Or, what does that look like? So, there are a lot of guys you can bring up and get a good look at. I mean, pitching, the pitching, and I saw a comment, I can't find it now, but about like how, they can't trade pitching because, they don't really have a lot of healthy ones right now. Yeah. And there's a point to that, like 100%. Like it's a good point. But I just think that if they truly, I don't think they're looking at that in terms of like, oh, they have no pitching, because they have guys you can throw out there every 5th day. Like, you can do it. I think if you move off of pitching, you kind of have to assume that, season's probably not going the way you wanted, and they're really going to try to bring up ththese young guys and figure it out. So,
yeah, and I think it's one of those things where it's like you run out of pitching if you traded 2 of Sagano, Eflin, and Morton. That's like, okay, who's going out there? If you trade one of them, you can throw people out there. You get Cade back. You get, there's guys to bring back. But I do think it is a thing. Like, I know when people are like, hey, trade Sagano, trade Eflin, trade Morton, get rid of all of them. Then it's like, okay, we do have to have people go out there on the mound. We do have to go out there. And then real fast, Kevin, before we get into maybe some call-ins, the Elm Tree saying, what's your opinion on trading Mullins? I saw that there is a report out that the Astros, I believe, are in on Mullins, or at least very much interested in him. So I think that's a guy that Mullins, if you want a left-handed outfielder at the trade deadline, I think Cedric Mullins is going to be the guy that teams are after, and they could get a decent haul for him because of that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, even if the fact that they don't trade Cedric, I don't see a long-term future for him in Baltimore. I mean, maybe he can sign a 2-year extension with Baltimore, but I think we're both in agreement that like they're not going to be able to keep both O'Hearn and Mullins. And right now, I think, if because the way, it's not like they need to trade everybody, get as much value as you can, and then okay, you're rebuilding. That's not where they are right now. I mean, the word retooling is accurate. So I think O'Hearn can be a winning piece for you in the future. I think Cedric can too. But if you're going to, if the O'Hearn packages don't blow you away, because I think that, while he's falling back down to earth, he can still get you something. I think that Mullins and his ability is obviously his defensive prowess. He has the power to him. I think that he could help a contending team. And it's not just going to be the Astros, right? I think a lot of teams, the Phillies have been linked to him for years. Like, it just feels like it might be time for Mullins here, which is, It's the same conversations you have about Tony and these other long-term guys who are there through the rebuild. And, it's tough to see those guys go if they do. But,
Yeah.
I think nobody here was paying Tony what he got from Toronto, right? It was, now who they replaced him with was the issue. They didn't replace him well. Neil has, not been good for them. But, it always sucks to see guys like that leave, and it's tough conversations. And this is the consequence of losing, right? If you're not performing, if the team isn't performing, I mean, changes are going to happen. It's a business at the end of the day, and some of those aspects of it just absolutely suck. But it's the reality of the situation.
Yeah, it is, and it's the reality of where you've put yourself, Kevin, because let's be real, you wouldn't have to have these conversations about trade value and, okay, who do you value long term? Okay, you could focus on the who do you value long term after this season. Like, you could start having those conversations, but it's not pressing. Now suddenly those, hey, who do we want to go after this offseason? Who do we want to keep? Who is expendable? All those conversations went from, that can happen in November, end of October, to, we're having that and it has to be done by July 31st, because if you're not going to go get, sign these guys to extensions, you probably trade them. And that's the reality of where they're at. They made their bed, and that's where they have to, like, if they can go and get 9, 10, 12 straight and somehow just miraculously before the trade deadline get back to over 500, then we can have a conversation of like, shit, like they did it, that they can maybe go for it or something like that. But you put yourself so far down that you do have to have these conversations where you're like, okay, who are we okay with getting rid of now? And who are we okay with, risking that they might not sign here, but it's worth trying to get something done.
Yeah. If you're not going to, again, they have 3 first rounders. That's, yippee, yay. But, I'm tired of losing these guys for nothing here. Get value back for them, or don't, sign them to extensions. Like, I think that this team has become a bit too draft happy in recent seasons, particularly hitter draft happy in the last few seasons. And, they have a lot of talent, but, you don't want to flirt with running multiple timelines. I mean, we see it all the time in sports where teams try to build dynasties, but they ignore the present and only look towards the future, right? I mean, you have to figure out, if you're going to run multiple timelines, you have to put as much into the present as you are into the future. And it's a balance. It's hard to do, which is why we see teams go all in and then, they get bad for a couple of years because they've spent all those resources. But, baseball's different than, football and basketball, where there's not those leagues don't have young talent you can just trade and still keep your core. Like, you have multiple teams you can trade from. So I don't know. It feels to me like they need to value the present and not just the future. That's just where I am on it.
Yeah, I agree. And Kevin, I'm going to put the link in for Collins. How much longer do you have to hop off?
Yeah, I'll probably jump off here then if you're doing Collins, just so it looks better. And I'm about to be where I need to be anyway. So
awesome. So, Kevin, I'm going to put in Collins as you put the link in if you want to finish up just what you're saying.
Just good. It's a good win. It doesn't necessarily save their season, but you take 2 or 3 from Tampa, you can certainly hang your hat on that. And you got a big road trip coming up. So as we talked about, 4-2 is kind of where you want to be at the end of that. Don't waste 6 games and just be 500 or worse. So, we'll see what happens. But yeah, man. My Oriole will be Luis F. Castillo today. Shout out to the guy. Shout out.
What? Shout out to the guy.
Shout out. All right, man. Talk to you later. Peace out, everybody.
Awesome. Appreciate you. And Kevin, get off the screen. I saw you got off the screen. He was behind the screen. But another Orioles win. Hit that like and subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Let's get into some call-ins. First up, we got our guy Jake. Jake, what's going on, my man?
Hey, what's going on, Zach? How are you doing, brother?
I'm doing well. Nice little series win. What's on your mind?
I know I like what you said the other day, or about a little bit ago, when you said
consistency. I can't remember if you or Kevin said it, like
Yeah.
consistency. Like everybody's like, man, consistent, and it sucks because like we just took what four we won. We're right now we're winning the season series against the arguably the hottest team in at least in the American League, if not all of baseball,
Yeah.
and we're like tied with the Yankees. I think.
Yeah.
Eh, yeah, I think the only team that we're like not doing so high against is like Boston, but I think we could definitely beat them up a little bit more.
I
Um,
hope.
oh yeah, yeah. I was gonna say I think I won a baseball yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah, you did. So yeah, we'll get
You want me-
that. We'll make sure to get that to you.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say, do you want me to just like shoot y'all a message somewhere on one of these little routes?
Yeah, I'll find. You're on. Yeah, I see you on Twitter. I'll message you so we can get something going. Make sure you get that baseball.
No, I appreciate that. Oh, y'all were having a good time there yesterday.
Yeah, it was a fun time. Definitely not the Oriole game we were hoping for, but you know,
Is that-
a better one today.
Yeah, no, dude. I mean, today like was good. Like I just like that small ball stuff. I mean, I don't even know. Did we even hit a home run today? Like I don't think
Nope.
we did. And yeah, and it's just like it was just playing smart. It was getting guys over. Even like I was it DD or whatever his name is, the Barstool guy from Baltimore, or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not sure his
Yeah.
background. I don't know, but he posted a picture just a little bit ago of Jackson, dirty as hell,
Yeah,
and Gunner was clean, which is I was like, man, that's a flip. But Jackson was like, it's like, look, Jackson went 0 for 3 or 0 for 2, like, but he got a walk. He got a good walk. He's running around. He's getting after it. He moved guys over, with like putting contact out there, and then he just didn't get it down, get it hit. So I mean, it is what it is.
And the unfortunate thing about his caught stealing is he had the best jump. He was safe in any of the throw was so bad. It just happened to lead the guy to clip his foot. Like a good throw there, he's safe by a mile. It's because it was a bad throw that he gets thrown out. That's one of those you just gotta you sit there if you're Jackson. I felt bad for Manzolino because they didn't have at the time New York was down, so they didn't have the replay system in the dugout to call up and be like, "Hey, what are we thinking? Should we challenge?" So he immediately goes challenge. I was like, Manzo, don't. I was like, he is out by 3 feet. I was like, do not do this.
Dude, knowing our luck this year, that would have been like, the difference between the win and the loss. But thankfully, the boys came through because that's the kind of luck we've had with, like you were saying. Somebody put on Twitter too. They're just like, I can't believe this fool like wanted to replay this thing, and it's like, dude, if he from his vantage point, Jackson was safe by a mile. It's not even, and he's like mad. He's like lucky he didn't go out and yell at the umpire.
Yeah,
but because he didn't have somebody to be like, nah, boss, got turn it down.
Yeah.
He's
Usually
out.
he would just immediately turn around and they'd be like, nah, he's out. And they'd be like, all right, whatever. But they're just like,
yeah. And that's the kind of play which I'm assuming he did. It was because just kind of his personality, it seems, is like he just looks at Jackson and he's like, just keep doing what you're doing. Like, there's nothing you can do with that. Like, I'm not going to tell you like how, I mean, your foot comes up like that based off like the energy you put into the ground, like when you're sliding like that. So there's really nothing you can do. Like you were saying, I think Ben McDonald was saying that like now he's like, used to be your target area for a catcher was the plate. You went it right over the plate. Second baseman catches it and you hopefully will guide the glove into the person. But now it's almost like they want it further to the right. But this guy threw it all kinds of messed up.
literally, like it was so bad. It was such a bad throw that was the perfect throw. Like he threw it so poorly that it was picture perfect because it was the only spot that they could throw it where he was going to get Jackson up. And I'm not going to lie, at that time, I was kind of sitting there and I was like, damn, is that how this day is going to be? I was like, timed it perfectly, perfect jump, horrible throw by the catcher, but it was so bad that it was spot on.
It was perfect. Yeah. Yeah. And to mention what you guys were saying, I wrote down, I'm kind of a nerd. I write down stuff because I forget stuff all the time. But I saw y'all were talking about like the trades, and then I think one of the best trading. I think you said the best trading chip we might have is Charlie.
Yeah.
It was one of the national outlets. I want to say MLB Radio was like, let's say the Atlanta Braves get a little bit hot, and they're just like, hey, we're going for it. Like they're a perfect team, I guess, with some of the stuff that they're missing with maybe a 4 and a 5 man pitcher.
Mhm.
And he's just that hot, and they know him obviously.
Yeah. Yeah,
That I mean,
he's been there.
yeah, and I don't know what their prospects are like. I'm sure Pigtown or somebody's gonna be like, because I know he's been pushing out. Shout out
Yeah.
Pigtown if you're on here. I'm not sure if he is or not, but like he'll put out stuff like, hey, this guy's doing well at Double A or whatever. You know, he's had these
Yeah.
issues, but he's coming back, and it's like, could he be somebody? And it's like, I'm like all down with that stuff. I mean, like I don't
I
know, and
hope.
I do. Yeah. Yeah, I hope. I mean, and then I saw was that Ben McDonald. I guess we're gonna be all. I guess we're gonna have a riot on our hands if we don't go for a pitcher in the first round. Um,
I'm telling you, that's one thing. I'm totally on the go get a pitcher. I am done with the
yeah,
all of the I get it, middle infield, like it's always that's what they've loved is middle infield, but I'm very much you have 3 first-round picks, go get 2 pitchers. Go get 2 pitchers that hopefully one of them get 2, hopefully one hits. Hopefully one of them hits.
and and the one I'm glad I actually had the thing. I had the game muted until I saw it come up. The profile for that boy from Arkansas. I think we talked about it last time
Yeah,
or
Gage
a couple times
Wood.
ago. Yeah, he was. I think Ben saw it.
Mhm.
Ben was there. He's doing his thing, and he's like, this kid is a dog. And I get it, man. And it's like high school kids are like, what is it like? High ceiling but super low floors.
Yeah.
But I feel like a guy like him, I think he was the one that also threw 130 pitches or whatever in one of the games, and he was the one where it was like, oh, you had a perfect like how's it feel being the guy that went through a first no hitter in like forever or whatever ever. And he's like,
Yeah.
man, and first thing he thought of was like, man, I can't believe I hit that guy in the toe. Like
Yeah.
I was like,
And
dude,
he's just mad about it.
yeah, and I guess he's projected to be in that world where we're picking is
Yeah.
what
He's in
Ben
the
was saying.
20s. Yeah, he's a guy in the 20s. So maybe with that pick at 19, maybe if he finds a way to fall to 30.
Sure.
But here, I mean, it's one of those things where maybe before the no hitter, he could have fallen to 30. But as it keeps going, I think it's hard for he's got one of those. It's one of those things where it's like you can look at all the stats to in that moment be able to go throw a no hitter. It takes some guts and that quote unquote that dog in you that you just you can't measure. It's about it's like measuring a heartbeat. You can't measure it, and then those moments, college World Series, you go out there and you find a way to throw a no hitter. That's pretty special. So
Yeah,
Jake,
no,
appreciate you
yeah,
calling in.
yeah, dude. No, I appreciate it,
you
brother.
calling.
Yeah, have a good
Awesome.
Sunday.
And appreciate you. You have a great one, Jake, and we'll talk to you next time. Awesome. And I'm sure we'll keep the Arkansas conversation going with this one. We got our friend Arkansas, Joe. Joe, what's up?
I mean, why you gotta bring up those nightmares?
Joe, I mean, think about it. At least if we could have another hog in the system, another hog talk prospect.
I'm gonna be honest, Zach. The last Arkansas pitcher the Orioles drafted did not turn out very well.
Yeah,
So
Knight wasn't the best, but hey, who knows?
he's currently coaching high school ball here. So
Oh yeah,
that tells you how it ended. But I would love to see Gage Wood. He's not going to fall to us though. We're going to pick a shortstop in the first pick like we always do.
I would not be surprised.
It'll probably be a Loy, to be honest with you, which will be amazing. But I'd much rather have Gage Wood and re-sign Gunner. I love Aloy, but I'd much rather have.
I think at this point it's just pitching too. Like you just would love to have Gage Wood simply for his position. It's nothing against a lawyer that he's not going to be. You can't be a star. It's like, hey, we need some guys that can throw the rock right now.
Yep, been meal prepping for the next couple weeks. We're trying to drop some weight, so.
Love it, Joe.
We got to get the BMI down to go donate a kidney to Jason. So
I love it.
We're going to attempt to do this.
Hey, keep us posted, Joe. Keep doing your thing, and hopefully, you know what? Maybe when is the draft? Like a month from now? Maybe we're talking about Gage Wood being a Baltimore Oriole.
I think it's right before the All-Star break. Yeah.
Yeah. So, a few weeks away. Joe, anything else on your mind?
It's still hot. Still
It's
very
still
hot.
it's damn hot. But Joe, appreciate talking to you as always, my guy. And you keep on meal prepping. We'll talk to you next time.
We'll see you later.
Awesome, appreciate you. Awesome, let's keep it rolling. We got our guy B Ravens next. B Ravens, what's up, my guy?
Hey, fantastic win. Got another winning series. Got to play Texas next. I'm not excited about that series considering who we have to face, but we got yet again Corbin, and then you got Evaldi, which is insane, and it doesn't feel like Father Time is ever going to catch up to that guy. And then you got DeGrom again.
Yeah, I'm definitely not looking forward to it. I think DeGrom's Tuesday. Definitely not looking forward to it. That is definitely one of those games where I'm like, hey, you probably got to win Monday and Wednesday, because we talked about before, had to win the first two against Texas because we all saw old Jacob looming on game 3. Now he's game 2. You have to figure out a way to sneak 2 wins out beforehand, so you're not relied upon to then suddenly, like last time, you're like, hey, only way we can win the series is if we beat Jacob deGrom, because the way he's pitching, that is much easier said than done.
Yeah, and not looking forward to that. And then, so obviously, you see all the Ravens stuff out there. So I follow both Ravens and Orioles. Ravens has been my number one team because I followed them first, about 2011, 2012, so their Super Bowl year. And I noticed the Ravens and the Orioles run very similar, except for one reason. They both love homegrown talent. They both love bringing guys up and letting them into the fire. The difference is the Ravens know when to sign free agents and how long they should be here. Orioles don't.
Yep.
The Ravens aren't afraid to spend. You saw them spend for Marcus Williams. You saw them spend for Derrick Henry. You see them spend for Calais Campbell.
Yep.
The Orioles don't seem to do that.
Yeah,
and
it feels
that's
like
one thing that's frustrating.
Yeah, I think you nailed it there, B Ravens. It is that they're two teams that love they know smaller markets. Obviously, in football, salary cap not that big of a deal, but it is one of those things where they both love homegrown talent. And I think another thing is they not only do they know when it's time, but they also to add players. They know it's time to get rid of players when their value's the best. They're okay with letting them go a year too early than holding on to them a year too late. And we've seen the Orioles get bitten by that a few times. And I agree. I think the Ravens are very calculated in the fact that they're like, hey, this is an opportunity. Let's go give us the best chance to win this. Where the Orioles are very much like, okay, let's extend this the furthest we can. Let's try to stretch out some good years. Whereas the Ravens are like, hey, this year's an opportunity to win the Super Bowl. Whoever we can add in that fits under the cap, whether it's Jair Alexander, whether it's DeAndre Hopkins. Let's go back a few years, the Odell Beckham Juniors, going out and finding guys. They're not afraid. They've made big splashes before because they aren't afraid to go say, okay, let's go try to win it.
Yeah, exactly. The Orioles just sign a bunch of one-year deals and expect that it's like trying to build a dam to stop water, but you're building it out of toothpicks. The water's still going to come through.
Mm-hmm.
And so
it's frustrating, especially with, like you said, just 1 year deals. It feels like, they're getting a lot of Band-Aids. The Orioles always feel like they're looking for Band-Aids right now to cover up holes instead of trying to make those weaknesses a strength or trying to get it back to being a strength of the team. They're like, okay, what Band-Aid can we put on? What cheap, guy that's on waivers, what, journeyman veteran can we grab and toss in there? Whereas the Ravens in a lot of ways are like, okay, that's a weakness. Let's target a top player. Let's get a veteran who's going to be more than, sustainable there, whereas maybe the Orioles are like, hey, let's hope that this guy can put it together again. They go bargain bin shopping, and it's funny. It feels like when they each go bargain bin shopping, the Ravens have a lot more success than the Orioles have recently.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Derrick Henry had his best season since 2020, and Odell Beckham Jr. was a really solid wide receiver 3. Meanwhile, the Orioles go out and get Craig Kimbrell, expecting him to fill their closer position with Felix Bautista, and it turned it out Danny Coulomb, they already had their closer, Danny Coulomb already there. He didn't even resign, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, Danny Coulomb, I get the whole that they were worried about his elbow. I know, and he did end up getting hurt, but that was still just one of those things where when Coulomb went down, or when they didn't pick up that option, it just felt like, well, what are we doing type thing. It's like, this is I get the injury, but for $2.4 million or $4 million, whatever it was, it just felt like that was a no-brainer. You do it. You get it done. If it bites you, it bites you. But he's been one of your, metrics aside, he's been one of your best players, of if you're watching the game, he gets the job done the most. And so it's frustrating when they don't get those guys signed and, especially these good players that you feel like can help them.
What's funny is that, I went to the Texas game, the second game against the Grom, and which is the no-hitter all the way through the 7th inning. But funny, when Webb came into the 5th, a friend of mine who I was sitting with was like, didn't they have him last year? Was they really solid with him? I was like, yeah, but for some reason they didn't bother bringing him back. They was Danny Coulomb, who was pitching in 087 with Minnesota and could be their closer.
Yeah, and it is frustrating. It feels like they had opportunities. Now obviously the bullpen has been a strength at times this season. So I know, they've made up for it in different spots. But, they spent more money on Perez than they did Coulomb. And I would much rather have, Perez is both now sitting in AAA, whereas Coulomb, he's, like you said, besides injury, he's had a very solid year. Same with Jacob Webb. He's having a solid year. And you just feel like those guys, if you had them here right now, maybe – it felt like your team was better with them on it than not. But B Ravens, appreciate you calling in, my guy. And, hopefully we're talking a little bit later this week after some more wins, but appreciate you, my man. And you have a great Sunday.
Yep.
Awesome. Let's, if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. We're doing call-ins right now. Let's keep it rolling. Next up, we got our guy, Danny. Danny, what's up, man?
What's up, brother? How we doing?
I'm doing well. How you doing?
I'm all right, man. I'm all right. It was a good win, but at the end, I'm like, great. That's how I feel.
I feel that, and it's because of, like we've said, usually if they were just closer, you'd be feeling incredible about it because you're like, awesome, but it does kind of sour that the fact it's like, okay, I'm more like, okay, are they going to disappoint us this next series? Well, it's like almost like I'm looking forward to it.
Well, just think we're still 12 games under? Or where's it 11?
I think 11 now.
Over 11 games under still. I don't remember. I can't remember, but
11.
Okay, 11. I knew it was 11 or 12, but I'm just like, okay, but I'm like, this team, ever since Tony has took over, they have been playing better, but they still have those stretches of the Brendan Hyde firing Orioles, I call it. They still have those stretches where they are still extremely inconsistent, to where it's great. We beat a good team this weekend, and that's great. That's great. But at the end of the day, Friday was great. Saturday, again, I don't even blame anybody because, Eflin went 1 inning and he had
after that.
Then he had to leave with his back. And I've been thinking, well, has his back been hurt for weeks because he hasn't been pitching well? And then you have to think, and I'm like, the thing is, games like that happen every year in baseball. So, I'm not mad about one of those games. You come back today and you play great. That's great. But again, like this team, I feel like cannot gain ground. Like he'll have a week where they play great, and then the next week they come back down and they remind us of the team who they were back in April.
Yep.
So I'm just like, okay. So I'm like, I just want to think, like, okay, like, can we continue to gain momentum, because this is going to be a tough trip. I mean, like, you know, Evaldi and DeGrom. And by the way, you know, Atlanta, even though their offense is struggling, like we're seeing probably currently their two best pitchers. I think we're seeing Schwellenbach Friday, and we're seeing Strider Saturday.
Which is not fun.
Strider's
Not
great.
fun at all.
He's great, but dude, I'm telling you, man, Schwellenbach is a stud.
Yeah.
Dude, like he's 25 years old, man. Like that dude is a stud. He's somebody sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. He's somebody who does not get talked about enough. I've seen him pitch a lot this year. That dude is a stud.
Yeah, and you know, Atlanta, like you said, offensively they've been very, very. I mean, they are hit or miss. They'll go out there and put up 10 or they'll put up 0. So you sit there and you're like, okay, yes, on paper when you look at it, yes, you should be able to go 4-2. It's like, okay, yeah, both teams. You know, these are not teams that are world beaters, and yeah, you just beat a hot Tampa Bay Rays team, but then you also look at it and you're like, shit, like they've gotten some momentum. Texas just took 2 of 3 versus you on their, in Baltimore. Atlanta's getting hot. They're throwing 2 of their best pitchers. Texas is throwing 2 of their best pitchers. So then it goes from, okay, it's against 2 other struggling teams. So now you're like, hey, it's going to be a tough task to go 3-3, 4-2.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, it's going to be tough. And I like the comment that B-Rave has made up about the Orioles. And I'm like, it's kind of true because, like, the difference, I think, between the Ravens and the Orioles is the Ravens, yes, like they both love to draft and develop, but the Ravens keep their talent.
Yes.
Again, Kyle Hamilton has 2 years left on his contract. Am I worried that he's going anywhere? No, because it is a guarantee he's getting paid.
Yeah.
By the Ravens to stay in Baltimore. Lamar Jackson, even though that got dicey for a while. But at the end of the day, it worked out. He's here. At the end of the day, like the guys that, especially with Eric now in charge, that he sees, all right, these guys are our cornerstone guys. Like, these guys are not leaving. Now, like Mark Andrews, they paid him. This is his last year of his new contract. Is he probably going to walk? Probably, because the Ravens have a tight end and likely who they love. And that's okay. But like again, like the Ravens also know when they sign a guy to a 1-year contract. They also have the thing because of who they are and their reputation in football, where they can maybe get a guy like a Jair Alexander to come to Baltimore on a cheap deal, because they know if I'm coming to Baltimore with the quarterback that they have and the defense that they have, like they're going to be competing. As long as Lamar's there and the head coach is there, most likely, and then just the culture around the Baltimore Ravens is winning.
Yeah, you can't say that about the Orioles.
The Orioles don't have that. Again, like they started to have that. They had it 23, and someone had it for the first half of the year last year. They had it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like the Ravens have built that equity over basically since the 2000s.
Yeah.
The Ravens built that equity up. The Orioles don't have that. And so, like, at the end of the day, like, you have to know when, like, all right, like, and also the Ravens spend money. Yes, I understand there's a cap, but the Ravens spend money. Ooh. And of course, like, there's some offers they can't spend a whole lot but that's a good thing, because that means they're paying their own players. Again, like the Orioles. Sorry to cut you off again. I'd rather the Orioles pay Gunnar Henderson what he's worth, even though he's having a somewhat down year in terms of power. But we all know it's there, and and we all know it's going to come back. I'd rather pay him a crap ton of money and make sure that he is here for the foreseeable future, then potentially and not be able to pay a guy like Scuba $400 million, which is he's going to get next offseason. But like I'd rather have. I understand like the Orioles can't keep everyone who they have currently. I'm aware of this.
Yeah.
We have to. Who are the 2 to 3 guys you want to keep in this city long term? You have to think. Because, again, you can sign guys, you can draft and develop guys, but who are the 2 to 3 names you want to keep in this city for more than your entire career? Figure out who they are. And, like, you have lots of them to choose from. I'm not saying, like, I'm not saying, like, picking 4 or 5. I'm saying 2 or 3 max.
Yeah.
I'm saying, like, pick who they are. Gunner's probably one of them. Some people say Adley, you could do, or Jordan Westbrook, whoever you want.
Yeah.
Who they are, and I understand Scott Boras. I'm aware of this. But at the end of the day, see what you can do.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is about that. It is about, I think right now, not only do they have to look short term in the next year or two, but it is long term. Who do you want to be the face of this franchise for the next 7-8 years? Because it can't just be, hey, we're just going to have this rotating, turnstile. And it's like, okay, hey, we have to have, guys that are the face of this team. We have to have guys, you talk about that winning culture. You have to have that established, because if you don't, then you can be like the Orioles, where it's like, yeah, they had a good season, two and a half good years, but it can fall short. And then once it starts falling short, it feels like it's just, they get to the top super quickly and then it goes straight down. So like it sucks. It feels like they're not sustaining it long term. Because in baseball, like a window can close like that. Like that's why, like I'm comparing to, because the Ravens, even though like once like the Ray Lewis's left, and then like they had a couple years, which is understandable. But ever since 2019, like back when they got Lamar, like the Ravens have been consistently good, and even basically since the 2000 season, they have been pretty much good, except for they had a couple years where like, hey, they were okay. Besides the 1 year they had all the injuries, which it's okay. Yeah, and that's why they've been consistent. Like you said, that's why they've been consistent winners, and that's why the Orioles, it feels like they've been in more rebuilds than they've even had winning seasons. So that's what they have to do. This season's not just about trade deadline and all that. It's about establishing a culture, and I think it starts with some extensions and stuff to see where you go. Well, I was talking about trade chips. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I would trade O'Hearn. I would, personally. And the reason why is because there's a kid in AAA whose spot, he's kind of blocking, if you don't think about it. His name is Semi Basayo. Yeah, if you want to think about for the left-handed bat. I'm just saying, like, he's left-handed at bat, and more likely when he comes up, he's going to DH most of the time. He play first. I'm just saying, like, I love O'Hearn. The dude's great. Yeah. And, like, I feel like even at the trade deadline, like the Orioles will get a good package for him. And like I don't think because he's having a down June or even a semi down July is going to change anything. Like people know his bat's good and people know his defense is okay, and most teams are going to want his bat. Yeah, I agree. And I think, if they want to move on with Basayo and them, going forward this season, I think you will see more trades because they're going to let these young guys play. And then we're going to see kind of what we have with them. But, Danny, appreciate you calling in, as always, my man. You have a great Sunday, dude, and we'll catch you next time. Have a good one. Awesome. And let's keep it rolling. We got our guy, Steve, here. Steve, how you doing, my man?
We needed that series win, especially going into this road trip.
Very bad. That was a massive series win.
And you said something at the beginning of the show, and you're right. It seems like every time the Orioles need a stopper, who's the man they call on? Stealing Dean.
Yep. It's what he does. He just stops.
And the fact that we played small ball offensively, it warms my heart. I mean, like, I like the long ball. Don't get me wrong. And trust me, when Mayo had hit that one to center, I was like, oh, that's gone.
I really thought he did it.
But the fact that we got to face Corbin, DeGrom, and Evaldi in Texas scares me, especially after what DeGrom did to us.
It's one of those things where you want to be. It's like why we keep saying like you want to be optimistic so bad, but like let's be real. This team has had great games, and then they followed it up with disappointment. So then not only you add that, but you add in the fact of DeGrom has pitched well. Evaldi pitching. Coming back. You got to win game one. Like there's a lot of pressure on game one because you got to win tomorrow to just give yourself the leeway if you can get dominated by DeGrom and still win the series. You lose tomorrow, man, does that pressure keep going.
The hill gets higher if you lose tomorrow.
Yes. Very much.
Because, like I said, DeGrom and then Evaldi after that, yeesh.
It's not. Of course, it just feels like one of those things where it's like, of course, as we're trying to build some momentum, this is what happens. It's like then you get. We were like, you're so excited to get Texas. They weren't playing well. All of this. And that's like, oh yeah, wait, no, they still got DeGrom of all these coming back, and we got to deal with it.
Exactly. But I'll say this: I was keeping up with the Tides game while watching the Orioles game. Basayo hit one 444.
Yeah.
I mean, and it was a nuke.
Yeah. That thing, I think it was 114 off the bat. I mean, absolutely got a hold of it.
But here's the question, though.
Mm.
If Eflin's on the injured list tomorrow, who do you bring up?
I wouldn't be surprised if they keep it Brandon Young. For the moment, actually, they'll bring up a reliever for the 2 days until it's Brandon Young's turn, I would guess. But I would think long term they would bring Brandon Young up, at least for the moment. I'm not sure where Povich stands, if they want, where he's.
Because I know Povich just pitched. Was it Thursday or Friday?
Yeah,
Thursday.
He just pitched 2 days ago.
It was Thursday. It was the day game.
Yep. So and maybe Povich's he doesn't line up as well, but it's.
I mean, he'd be in. When is Eflin's next start supposed to be? What, Atlanta?
Yeah, I was gonna say that would be the first game of Atlanta,
which is probably Schwellenbach for Atlanta that night.
Yeah, which is not an easy task.
And then following it up with Strider.
Yeah, awesome. Don't you just love it? It's gonna be such a fun week.
I mean, these next two series we're facing some of the toughest pitchers in the league.
Yeah.
But all I'm gonna say is, on this road trip, 4-2 is the benchmark.
Have to.
If you can go 5-1. That just adds momentum because this road trip leads into the All-Star break, correct?
Yes, I believe. Do they? I think they might have. Let me check. I think then they have. Is this going right into the All-Star break? Let me check. No, they have the.
They've got Mets Marlins after that.
Yeah, they have Mets, Marlins, and then they have the break.
And the Mets, not only did the Mets just get swept by Pittsburgh, they got demolished.
Yeah.
I mean, Pittsburgh outscored them 30-4.
It was bad. It was literally Juan Soto doing something, then the rest of the team doing nothing.
And the other thing is, though, I'm wondering I'm wondering how big of a reaction Stowers and Norby are going to get when Miami comes to Baltimore.
I'm excited. We talked to Stowers a little bit. He's excited for it. He's. I think it's going to be interesting to see what kind of reaction. I hope they get a good. I hope they get some ovations because they deserve it.
And add to that, Let's see. Rogers pitches tomorrow.
Yes.
So then his next start would probably be the finale against Atlanta.
Yeah,
He
so
could
would
start the opener against Miami.
Yeah, he
Talk,
very well
talk
could.
about drama.
That would be
Talk
something.
about drama.
Talk about drama. That would be something. But Steve, appreciate talking to you as always, my man.
Before I head out, I'm going to
what
just
you
say
got?
this. Starting tomorrow, vote Holiday and O'Hearn. Don't let anybody take their spots.
I agree, Steve. Get those guys in the starting lineups, and let's have some fun. Steve, appreciate you, and I'll catch you next time. Awesome. Always great. Always great to talk to everyone. Good little win today. Good little stream. But yeah, that's all the call-ins we have. What a fun win. What a fun win. Most complete win. One of, if not the most complete win of the season. 5-1 Dean Kremer absolutely shoves. Everyone but Holiday gets a hit. Holiday gets on base. It felt good. Felt like the boys were doing what they're supposed to do and what they're capable of. Love the small ball. Let's see if we can keep it going. We'll be back at tomorrow. That's going to do it for this episode. But the Orioles take on the Rangers tomorrow. Trevor Rogers on the mound. Start of a 6-game road trip beginning in Texas. We'll be back after the game for another edition of Kevin and Zach React. But you guys enjoy your Sunday, and we will see you all tomorrow. Let's go Stevie Wilkerson.